Good evening. A new work week begins, but 1 week after the marathon bombings, nothing seems normal yet. There are several major developments to tell you about as the wheels of justice begin to grind. First, bombing suspect Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was arraigned today in his bed at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, charged with conspiring to use weapons of mass destruction against the United States, resulting in death. The White House says Tsarnaev will be tried in federal court as a criminal defendant, not as an enemy combatant. Also today, the first of 3 killed in the bombings was laid to rest. Hundreds of family, friends, and community supporters showed up in Medford for the funeral of 29-year-old Crystal Campbell. Slain MIT police officer Sean Collier will be buried tomorrow. And throughout the Commonwealth, residents paid their respects to the victims by observing a moment of silence. Meanwhile, Boston is trying to get back to normal. Parts of the Boylston Street area are being cleaned up today, but many stores will remain closed for a while. Among them, Marathon Sports, which was the epicenter of the first blast. Here is how the storefront looked after Monday's bombings. And I'm joined here by the store's brand marketing manager, Dan Soleau. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Emily.
So I know you've told your story a few times, but it bears hearing again. You were at 671 Boylston Street, which is, as the FBI released today, the address given for the first bomb. So what was happening when you were there?
I was at the finish line. It's sort of become a tradition for myself since I've started working at Marathon Sports. So this would be the 3rd year cheering runners on. It's one of my favorite days of the year. It's Boston at its finest, and the weather was perfect. And so I was standing in front of the store with a small group of people in an area that we sort of section off and reserve for friends and family and staff. I was looking at the finish line, and then all of a sudden, on the right side of my periphery, I saw this giant fireball. And the glass that was behind me just shattered, and I woke up on the ground, and there was glass everywhere, and it was just the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And
almost instantly, you said that people in your store, there were people shouting for tourniquets and help, and people in your store just grabbed whatever they could.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to see several of the staff that were there that day, and it's one of those things where none of us had a full picture of what happened. It's just bits and pieces. So being able to talk with them and what their experiences were, what their recollections were, we've been better able to fill in our memories and get a clearer picture of what happened. But yeah, it was everybody just sort of went into do something mode, and it was remarkable considering the circumstances that we were able to do anything.
How quickly do you remember that emergency personnel were on the scene? I mean, you were injured yourself and dazed, but were police and firefighters? I mean, I was in the neighborhood and I couldn't believe how quickly people reacted, but how quickly right at the scene?
My sense of time is askew. Trying to put everything together. I ran downstairs and grabbed water, and staff and I grabbed first aid kit and gloves, and some of the staff were helping a couple of ladies who were in the basement with us, and then ran back upstairs with the water. And by the time I was trying to bring the water out to the front of the store, there were already first responders giving attention to the people who needed it.
So there were people right in front of the store that were very badly injured?
Very badly.
They said at least one person was killed at the site of each bombing, but we're not sure which ones. They haven't said. Do you know who was there? Do you know which of the...
I wouldn't. There was so much. There was just so much that it could have been any number of the people I saw.
At what point your staff was helping people, and then did the emergency responders tell you to back off, or were they happy for your help, or what did they?
I don't think I think staff was helpful that day, and I think that everything they did, every choice they made, was a positive action. There was a personal point for me when after I'd done all I could with water and all that one of the first responders looked up at me and said, "The best way you can be of assistance right now is to get out of here and get somewhere safe." And, you know, I was in no position to argue that, and so I took that advice.
Marathon Sports, the name of your store. Do you think there was a conscious thing on the part of the two bombers to pick that, or do you think it was random?
I don't know. I mean, the idea that it was a spot that may have been targeted makes it seem uglier, but I mean, I don't think that there's any information that can come out now that's going to make anything hurt any more than it does.
Were any of the members of your special group of family and friends, were any of those people hurt?
Yes. Yeah, some of them took some shrapnel to the legs. There were some injuries, but to the best of my knowledge, they're all recovering well and on their way to a successful recovery.
Mm-hmm. And what do the FBI and some of the people who have been, you know, going up and down the street, do they tell you anything right now about when you're going to be able to open the store? Have they interviewed you people about the investigation? What is your participation been?
I don't know that any of the staff has been interviewed as part of the investigation at this point. If they have, I have no knowledge of it. The owner's been in constant contact with city officials and with the law enforcement agencies, so he has a pretty clear picture of how things are being handled operationally. Our best guess is that within the next day or two, we'll be able to get into the store and assess what needs to be done.
You lost all your window fronts, so...
Yeah, I mean, the glass is going to have to be replaced, and there's going to be some cleaning and other things that need to happen before, you know, our particular business is able to open. And I don't know if there's an accurate time frame that we can put on that and say this is the date when we'll be open for business, but it'll be in the near future.
How do you feel about next year's marathon? Have you thought about that?
A lot. I'm inspired by the number of people who have been inspired, and the words and oaths and promises that people are making to stand by this iconic day of our city and make it even bigger and even better next year.
So you'll be there?
I will be there in some way, shape, or form, whether it's crossing the finish line at some point or cheering at the finish line. I will be there.
All right, Dan Soleau, thanks so much for coming. Good luck opening the store, and we hope everybody runs down there and buys some stuff from you when it is open. I'll be in. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.